Hello there. After another week of Brexit trade talks, the news coming out of Brussels is that there's still a lot of work to do. Also, Berlin needs London for cash, and the Eurozone economy is under intense pressure. Firstly, please subscribe and like this video to give my channel a boost. And I'm always uploading new content, so please do check back daily. And a big thanks to my Patreon and PayPal supporters. Now, just before I start, there is some breaking news about the EU taking the UK to court. And this isn't about the UK internal market bill clauses either, it's something else. More at the end of the video, with a nice twist in the tale. So after deciding that the EU had changed its stance and would treat the UK as a sovereign nation, Boris allows more talks, and the negotiations then go precisely nowhere. Or at least that's what people are saying. And from one of the horses' mouths, the EU chief Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier tweeted the following at lunchtime today. After 7 days of intensive negotiations in London, talks continue with David Frost and his team in Brussels in full respect of the national health measures of COVID-19. Working hard for an agreement, much remains to be done. That doesn't sound much like we're anywhere near a deal to me, otherwise the language would be a lot cosier. And with 62 days left to go until the end of the Brexit implementation period, and that's ignoring politicians' seasonal downtime, you do have to wonder if a real deal is achievable. And when Michel Barnier says there's more work to do, you get the impression that's Eurocrat speech for "we haven't yet been able to get the Brits to cave in to our demands." Or something along those lines anyway. But the talks will go on over the weekend and then into next week. Last week there'd been rumours that the whole thing would have to be wrapped up by Tuesday. But somehow I get the impression that we're nowhere near a real political deadline yet. With 62 days to go until the end of the Brexit implementation period, we may be reading about these negotiations for the next 61 of them. But surely we'll have to know well before Rishi Sunak delivers the 2020 spending review on the 25th of November. But as ever, where Brexit is concerned, all timetables and deadlines are there purely for guidance and for the consumption of the public. So don't hold your breath. Anyway, other news coming out of the EU is that Germany may be getting twitched about its big businesses losing access to city finance after the 31st of December. It seems that one German finance minister has admitted that German companies rely heavily on London to access funding. City AM reports, a senior German government official said he was deeply concerned by the lack of progress in post-Brexit trade talks between the UK and EU, given the reliance of German companies on funding from the city. And it quotes German Deputy Finance Minister George Kukis telling an online meeting held by A4 Consulting, "German corporates, for all that I can tell, rely massively on wholesale financing offered from the City of London, so in that sense we will have to maintain pragmatism no matter what happens. But at the moment we are deeply concerned by the lack of progress in the negotiations." And these worries will have been increased by news coming out of the European Central Bank yesterday. The ECB President Christine Lagarde has warned that the risks are clearly tilted to the downside and gave out clear guidance that more economic stimulus was on the way in December, and the ECB does not normally give out that sort of guidance. The two main ways to do this would be to lower interest rates further into negative territory. The ECB already has its deposit facility set at minus 0.5%. or more likely to add another €500 billion or so euros to the quantitative easing pile. It already stands at €1.35 trillion. All on the back of city forecasters saying that winter is coming, and I don't think they're referring to snow. In a press conference, Christine Lagarde said that the economic recovery is losing momentum more rapidly than expected, and that we expect the month of November to be very negative. While activity in the manufacturing sector has continued to recover, activity in the services sector has been slowing visibly. Lagarde also said that the ECB would not stand still and remained ready to meet at short notice, something that has caused some finance pundits to put forward the idea that ECB stimulus might start in November, not December. Although according to Bloomberg Economics, the ECB already has enough firepower to deal with events up to the new year, and that the ECB has about €800 billion in firepower beyond what it was poised to use for the remainder of 2020. And you know it's going to be bad when it's reported that the ECB chief regulator, Andrea Enria, is warning that non-performing loans, that's bad debt like mortgage and credit card defaults to you and me, non-performing loans in the Eurozone could get to the level of €1.4 trillion. That would be worse than the losses seen after the Lehman Brothers collapsed, and the chief regulator wants a bad bank set up to help clean up the inevitable mess. And while this goes on, the deadline for the UK Prime Minister to respond to the Brussels threat of legal action over the withdrawal agreement busting clauses in the UK Internal Market Bill runs out tomorrow. If you remember, when Brussels realised that the UK was going to use domestic law to interpret the Irish Border Protocol the way the UK saw it, the EU Commission sent us a letter warning of legal action. The letter gave us until the end of the month to remove those clauses, but naughty Boris hasn't done so. When the clauses first came to light, the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called them a breach of the obligation of good faith, as well as saying on the 1st of October, we had invited our British friends to remove the problematic parts of their draft internal market bill by the end of September. The deadline lapsed yesterday. The problematic provisions have not been removed. Therefore, this morning the Commission has decided to send a letter of formal notice to the UK government. This is the first step in an infringement procedure. But as I've explained before, the legal experts say that until the bill is enacted, it does not constitute an action that could be placed before a court. Hers is an infringement procedure brought against zero infringement. In fact, Brussels has broken its own rules in sending the letter to us in the first place. They should have waited until the UK actually broke the law, not just talked about it. Also, if the EU sticks to the true spirit of the protocol, there would be no need for the UK to take such action, and it was the threats of over-interpreting the protocol that drove the UK to take such action in the first place. Anyway, as I said at the start of the video, this isn't the only legal spat we're having with the European Union. And this is about rules to prevent the spread of certain plant pests. These pests, it transpires, pose a serious threat to the UK, with Lord Framlingham saying that one pest was now present in France, Italy, Spain and Portugal, and on plants that have been traded in Germany and Belgium. It will have a devastating effect on our trees and shrubs if we fail to keep it out. Now I bet Remainers out there think that Brussels is suing the UK because we must have lowered our standards below those of their beloved European Union. Well, sorry to disappoint you, but no. The EU Commission says, while the EU has proportionate measures in place to protect plants from these plant pests, the UK protective measures are unjustifiably stricter than EU requirements. As former Brexit Minister David Jones said, EU complaining that UK standards are too high. We should be complaining about their race to the bottom. Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it by following the link in the descriptions box below, and support me on Patreon or PayPal. So what do you think about all of this? Please share and comment, and thank you for watching.